Hello everyone, what's up and my Pokemon form, and today we're doing is another reaction video. This one will be reacted to 10 times a wrestler tragically died in the ring in a match. So I hope you guys like it. If you guys feel big thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, turn on post notifications, and let's get started.
It is often said that wrestlers are putting their very lives on the line every time they lace up their boots in an effort to entertain us. Some may roll their eyes at that and claim that it's a bit of showman's grandstanding, but the fact is some professional wrestlers have actually died either during or immediately after a match. It hasn't happened too often, thankfully, but it has happened all over the world, with notable instances taking place in the United States, Japan, Mexico, Germany, and the United Kingdom. I'm Adam Pachisi from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are 10 tragic times a wrestler died in the ring. Join us. Number 10, Gary Albright. Though he was American and worked for various promotions in the US and Canada, including Stu Hart's Stampede territory, Gary Albright wrestled primarily in Japan and was very successful for both the UFWI and All Japan during the 90s. An accomplished amateur wrestler, his hard-hitting suplex and submission-based style fit in perfectly in the land of the rising sun. On January 7th, 2000, Albright was between tours and performing on a World Extreme Wrestling show promoted by his father-in-law, Afa Anawahi. Squaring off with Lucifer Grimm in Hazleton, Pennsylvania, Gary took a cutter-type move and didn't get up. Grimm, real name Bill Owens, idolized Albright and sensed immediately that something was wrong. He rolled onto his back and Albright instinctively put his arm on top of him, getting the scheduled pinfall victory before Owens yelled for help. Another wrestler on the show, who was trained as an EMT, performed CPR until paramedics arrived and confirmed his passing of a heart attack. The coroner noted that the 36-year-old was suffering from diabetes and had an enlarged heart as well as several blocked coronary arteries. Number 9, Oro. A second-generation daredevil whose style has been likened to his cohort Rey Mysterio Jr., Oro was a couple of months shy of his 22nd birthday and in the process of being groomed as the future top star of Mexico's EMLL promotion when tragedy struck. Wrestling in a six-man tag semi-main event at Arena Coliseo in Mexico City, it wasn't a spectacular high-flying move gone wrong or some other dangerous stunt that ended Oro's life. Rather, it was a simple chop to the chest delivered by one of his opponents. However, it wasn't actually the move itself, but rather the bump Oro decided to take off the routine piece of offense that ended his life. Oro wanted to sell the chop with a kabashi bump, i.e. flipping backwards and landing on his head in the same way that All Japan's Kenta Kobashi had done during a recent, yet already famous match with Steve Dr. Death Williams. Unfortunately, Oro collapsed, his pulse became weak, and while being stretchered out as the match was still in progress, passed away before he was loaded into an ambulance. Number 8.
And the app comes up again.
Moondog Spot. If you watched just about any WWE show in the mid-80s, you were likely to see a match featuring the Moondogs. Spot and Rex were bearded weirdos who wore cut-off jeans and carried chewed-up bones to the ring. Certainly memorable, the one-time WWE Tag Team Champions were an ever-present on WWE cards and continued their run once they left the company. Of note, Spot and Moondog Cujo, there have been about 30 different Moondogs over the years, had what Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer called the best feud of 1992 while battling Jerry Lawler and Jeff Jarrett in Memphis. It was while wrestling on the King's special birthday bash show in the home of rhythm and blues on November 29, 2003 that Spot would suffer a fatal heart attack at the age of 51. Real name Larry Wayne Booker, Spot was teaming with Moondog Puppy Love to take on 3 other teams, including the Rock and Roll Express, in a concession stand brawl when his knees buckled in an odd way. The referee checked on him, got the okay, and the match continued, only for Booker to collapse in the ring a short time later. Paramedics attempted to work on him while concerned wrestlers and Booker's family looked on and hoped for the best, to no avail. Number 7, Mitsuharu Misawa. Widely regarded as one of the best professional wrestlers of his or any generation, Mitsuharu Misawa was a 5-star match machine, first for All Japan Pro Wrestling, and then Pro Wrestling Noah, the company that he helped found in the wake of All Japan booker and president Giant Barbar's death. Debuting in 1981, Misawa first found fame not as himself but as the second incarnation of Tiger Mask before ditching the hood in 1990 and subsequently owning the decade that followed. The matches that Misawa had alongside rivals like Kenta Kobashi, Toshiaka Kawada and Akira Taue, who collectively formed the Four Pillars of Heaven, were characterized by a full-on physical hard-bumping style that often bordered on the reckless. The many years of wear and tear finally caught up to Misawa on June 13, 2009, when he took a back suplex in a GHC Tag Team title main event and went limp upon impact. A doctor in attendance at the show attempted to perform CPR, but Misawa was pronounced dead soon after, aged just 46. Though Misawa's family requested the official cause of death not to be released publicly, it is widely believed that he suffered a separation of his cervical spinal cord. Number 6. Larry Cameron. Lethal Larry Cameron was a standout football player and played in both the NFL and CFL before his career was cut short due to injuries. Cameron then transitioned to pro wrestling, the former bodybuilding champion having been discovered by promoter Ed Sharkey and then been further trained in Stu Hart's infamous dungeon. A star for Stampede, where he was the last ever North American champion, Larry also had a tryout for WWE, wrestled a handful of matches for WCW, tagging alongside Butch Reed with Teddy Long as their manager, and toured with New Japan, before settling into life in Austria and Germany, working for Otto Vonz's Catch Wrestling Association. Though he looked like a prime physical specimen, Cameron had a history of heart trouble speculated to be steroid-related and had once been stopped from wrestling on an independent show in New Jersey due to an irregular heartbeat. On December 13th, 1993, he suffered a heart attack while wrestling Britain's Tony Sinclair in Bremen. He knew he was in trouble after the 4th round and was taken backstage, but attempts to revive him failed and he died before the ambulance arrived. He was just 41. Number 5. Mike DiBiase. Though many fans may only know of Iron Mike DiBiase as the adoptive father of WWE star Ted DiBiase, he married Ted's mother, fellow wrestler Helen Hild, it's worth noting that he was an accomplished and prolific pro in his own right. Debuting in 1950, Mike won titles in the AWA, NWA, and various other promotions over the course of the next 2 decades, and was noted as a hated heel who could really rile up a crowd. So despised was he that he somehow found himself standing across the ring from boxing icon Archie Moore, a former light heavyweight champion who was known as the Knockout King, in Moore's last fight, though it was obviously worked to some degree, with DiBiase attempting to turn it into a wrestling match before the referee called for the end in the 3rd round. Iron Mike was wrestling Man Mountain Mike, a real mountain of a man obviously, on July 2nd, 1969, when he suffered a heart attack immediately following the bout. Harley Race performed CPR on DiBiase and then accompanied him in an ambulance to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead at age 45. Though it did happen while he was in the ring, DiBiase's heart attack was actually caused by a massive cholesterol buildup, not helped by his genetic predisposition to heart disease. Number 4. King Kong Kirk. A brawling colossus for the United Kingdom's joint promotions, former rugby player Malcolm Kirk was well known as King Kong Kirk due to British wrestling's growing popularity thanks to the televised World of Sports programme in the 1970s and 80s. In his prime, Kirk wrestled the likes of Andre the Giant and Bret Hart and frequently tagged with fellow super heavyweight villain Giant Haystacks. His life and career came to a fabled end on August 23rd, 1987, when teaming with King Kendo, aka Kendo Nagasaki, against Big Daddy and Greg Valentine, not that one, in front of hundreds of punters at the Hippodrome in Great Yarmouth. After taking Big Daddy's famous splash, Kirk turned purple and lay motionless on the mat. Wrestlers and ringside personnel attempted to deliver CPR, but it was no use. By the time he had been transported to the hospital, it took 8 wrestlers just to get him on the stretcher and into an ambulance. He was already dead. Malcolm Kirk was 51 years old. Investigations were launched after the incident, though nobody was ever charged with anything after it was discovered that he had underlying medical conditions and passed away due to natural causes, having likely already died before Big Daddy splashed him. Number 3. Silver King. Silver King is a name that is probably best known to many fans from his time in WCW during the late 90s, but the luchador had a notable career both before and after his spell in the Turner-owned organization. The son of the legendary Dr. Wagner, he was a big star in his native Mexico and had a distinguished run in Japan where he performed as both Silver King and as the third incarnation of Black Tiger. Real name Cesar Gonzalez, he was also cast as the villainous Ramses in the 2006 film Nacho Libre, playing the gold-clad antagonist to Jack Black's would-be masked hero. By the time Silver King met Juventud Guerrera on a Lucha Libre London show in Camden on May 11, 2019, he was clearly in the winter of his career, wrestling less and less frequently in order to focus on training others and promoting shows. Though he had passed the medical testing required to perform in Mexico, Gonzalez supposedly had a pre-existing condition and suffered a heart attack during his match with the Juice. Frustratingly, neither Juventud nor the referee seemed to have any idea what to do once Gonzalez stopped moving, and it took a long time for anyone to come and treat him. Silver King had passed away aged 51 before the ambulance arrived at the venue. Number 2.
Why doesn't ad have to come up?
So many ways to shake it up. Get nutrients in every scoop. High five for nutrition kids love. Try Pediasure powder. 2 new IHOP lunch and dinner menu items.
Sorry guys, but you're gonna have to watch through this ad thing because it's not gonna wait that easily. I wasn't planning on making this video long, but it happened. Sorry.
Plum Mariko. Perhaps the saddest thing about the death of Mariko Umeda, who wrestled as Plum Mariko, is that in hindsight, the whole thing seemed somewhat preventable. Mariko was working a tag match on a JWP card in Hiroshima on March 16, 1997, when one of her opponents, Mayumi Ozaki, hit her with a Liger bomb. She was knocked completely out and the match was stopped when those in the ring noticed that she was snoring, a sign of bleeding on the brain. Mariko never woke up, despite being rushed to hospital for an operation on her brain later that evening. No post-mortem examination of the body was performed at the request of her father, though the general belief is that she died due to an abscess in the brain and a fractured skull. She had purportedly been complaining about her physical condition for a long time, while those in JWP noted that she had appeared unusually tired as of late. Despite obviously suffering and having received several documented concussions, Plum Mariko refused to miss any matches. Her injury was the final blow in a cumulative series of them. She was just 27. Number 1, Pero Aguayo Jr. Showing that accidents can happen to anyone and that even the most skilled veterans are not immune to disaster, the death of Pero Aguayo Jr. shook the wrestling world. The son of a legendary luchador, Aguayo Jr. was teaming with Manic, aka TJP, against Extreme Tiger and Rey Mysterio in Tijuana on March 20th, 2015, when catastrophe struck at the end of the contest. Mysterio gave Aguayo a dropkick to the back, sending the leader of the Los Perros del Mal group to the middle rope, where he went limp. The match continued, with Rey giving Aguayo and Manic a double 619 without making proper contact to finish, as Conan tried desperately to revive Pero from ringside. The initial belief was that he was simply unconscious, but it soon became apparent that it was much more serious than that. Aguayo was brought to a local hospital where doctors worked on resuscitating him for an hour before he was pronounced dead, aged 35. The official cause of death was listed as cardiac arrest due to a cervical stroke caused by 3 fractured vertebrae. It was a stark reminder of the risk.
Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. If you guys like this video, give this video a big thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, turn notifications, and leave a comment. Subscribe to your channel for my site thing, and yeah. Guys, again, I'm almost close to 510 subscribers. 510 subscribers. That's a lot. If I can reach your goal, I really appreciate it. But again, this video was my goal, reach 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 people watching. So if I reach your goal, I really appreciate it. Because again, these videos are possible to you guys. I love you guys so much for all your support. Like I always say, and I always mean. And yeah. Also, if you guys want to watch this, it was made by Culture, I don't know how to say that word, but I'll put the link down to his video down in the description. But yeah. Alright guys, there you go. Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video, leave a comment, subscribe for more, and I'll catch you guys for tomorrow for another video. Alright guys, there you go. Goodbye. Have a good day or night.